So they'll be checking out this week's LS Car Meet Price Ride, the BF Weevil, based on the Volkswagen Beetle, also known as a Type 1, or officially the Type 1. It was commissioned by a very infamous figure who played a large role in World War II. And since this car is German, you could already picture who that is. Production of the Volkswagen Beetle actually began in uh, just after World War II in 1946. Which is I have many fun facts for you guys, but with that stuff out of the way for now, the customization, there's a lot of customization for this car, a lot of stuff for me to go through. But since this is my second Weevil, what I want to do with this is make it a Baja build or a Baja buggy, which is basically just an off-road version of the Beetle. This is very popular in California where there's a lot of sand and sand dunes in certain communities. So this type of style of car took off. As you're already seeing from now, if you haven't clicked off the video from a poor attention span, not to call you guys out, the customization here is brilliant. I just really love it. Um, I myself have overlooked it, and I regret doing so because this is great stuff. But as I said, since this is my second build, I want to do something uh, different. But it was really difficult. Even before I started recording, I was going back and forth, saying what I wanted to do, especially with exhausts. These are fantastic options. If you guys win this car and want something unique, then I definitely recommend this car. I'm not even done with the video yet, and I'm already telling you. But here are the exhaust options. You really have a lot to work with. And I don't mean to go back and forth and waste your time for a minute here, but honestly, it was very difficult. But I might as well go with something realistic and small. I feel like the baby Stinger will work with what I'm going for here. And what's interesting about the Type 1 or the Beetle is that you could also recreate um, prototypes of this car from the 1930s before it went into mass production. So if you want to make it a military spec or just a simple production model, you could do that with a blackout covers. All you have to do is just paint it matte black, and it'll look like a concept, or you can paint it in a matte paint, like an earthy color. Put some steely wheels on there, and it'll look like an official military vehicle from Germany during the 1930s, more specifically 1938 to 1939, where the production was limited. But here you can chop off some of the bits of the front, on the fender. I'm going to do that for more ground clearance. You could do that in the back as well. But it deletes the tail lights, unfortunately, but it is what it is. I really love that chopped aftermarket type of look. But as I said, since I already have a Beetle, this is my second one. It really doesn't hurt doing something different, especially since this car is very cheap for about $600,000 or less. At least it's not $1 million. Especially if you get this for free this week, or if it's available again, and you're watching this video after the week expired. I mean, this is still an excellent car. As you can see, on the hood you can add some lights, which is what I'm gonna do. For the accessories here, you can add a shovel, an off-road kit in case you get stuck, but I'm gonna leave it off for now. The lights there actually do work, so if you wanna go for the look that I'm going for, please feel free because those lights do work. You have plenty of camo liveries here, and a BF Weeble, a Cup Car. There's a few liveries here that are just references to TV shows, movies, famous people. Some of them are just rusty liveries. The first two that I didn't get to mention, those were from World War II, from what I was talking about earlier. However, not all of them came with camo liveries. For the plate, I'm going to do a classic 50s and 60s license plate because I feel it would be more fitting. Another thing I want to talk about is that The Weevil here is particularly based on the early 50s to mid 60s Beetle, since it did have the split window in the back. Uh, after after the 60s, the window started to be more open in the back, so it was a lot bigger. I really have a lot to talk about this car. I love history. Those of you who are still watching this far, I hope that you like history as well, especially with cars when they intertwine and stuff like that. And I know it's a video game, but Rockstar really does a good job at making real life references. The interior here, it's partially paintable, um, so that's okay. But since I'm rambling, I decided to go with a yellow. I feel like a yellow fits this very well. I'm gonna do a roll cage for this as well. A car like this would probably be prone to rolling over if you don't take the right angle when you're going off road. So realistically, you really want a roll cage. For the roof, the accessories are excellent. You know, I really took this car for granted with its level of detail and the stuff available that you could do with it. You could do a typical surfer California build. This car is very popular in the 70s and 60s. Uh, in Mexico, it was produced until 2003 in a plant, which is pretty crazy that this body style lasted for so long, even alongside a newer Beetle, the newer Beetle generation. And since this was so popular with 21 million units sold, of course, they had to keep it going for a long time. But let's just do not an off-road kit. Here with the wings are pretty decent here. If you want to mimic like a Porsche build from the 80s, those spoilers can work. I don't know why I called it a wing, but the suspension you can get this very low. It adds camber, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna leave the suspension alone. For the wheels here, I want to do an off-road wheel, of course. The stock wheels already look nice, but since I'm going for something that's aftermarket, I'm gonna see what fits this car very well. The mil specs look great. So do the retro steelies, the heavy duty steelies, the concaves. I'm telling you guys right now, it's gonna be difficult. Uh, the police steelies look good. The lightweight looks good as well. I might go with that because it also mimics the 1970s Beetle as well. Not many people use the 1950s to 60s Weevil as a dune buggy. They mostly prefer to use the later model years. I know it sounds like I'm yapping a lot, but with a car like this, you really have a lot of information to cover, a lot of history with it. Although it might be dark, it's still a very rich history that needs to be talked about, especially with a car with so much lore like this. The tire lettering, I'm not sure. You guys let me know what you think. I might leave it off, might leave it on. I think I'll just leave it off for now. All that's left for me to do is show you the window tint, and then when I'm done here, I'm going to get out of the garage and quickly give you a closer look at the interior, the engine model, and then I'm going to discuss the performance. Detail and texture quality is great. I like how there's a spare wheel in the front. That's an excellent detail. There's a little bit of storage on top of that as well. It doesn't seem to have any lining because it's a bit stripped. Since this is a Baja build, you'd expect to be a bit more stripped out as well. The interior is pretty nice. It is a newer model. Um, However, some bits here and there have been reused from other cars, but it's still unique and it fits the car very well. The engine here is an air-cooled four-cylinder based on the real-life Beetle's engine. Rockstar really did their research, and I just love the way this looks. The off-road performance is great. Uh, the street performance is also excellent as well. I'd say it's adequate. It won't really be performing much with other vehicles, but since this is in the compacts class and not the off-road class, it still does a decent job. The handling is a bit bouncy and wobbly, but that could work to your advantage. if you're going off-road. Just be careful with your approach angles and how fast you're going, so you could spin out and roll over like I did. But man, this car is very fun. It's a great choice. If you participate in car meets and other online events as you should in GTA Online, this car is just spectacular. I feel like I did a very good job. You guys could please let me know in the comments. It's very lonely down there, not many people really interact with me or talk, especially since my community is growing slowly. 2025 has been a very tough year for my channel, but with that stuff out of the way, I appreciate you for tuning in, and as always, thanks for watching.